All right, you're Korean, Noonie. Let's see what you have to say.
The way our generation dates is wild. I mean, firstly, there are a million dating apps, which is not a bad thing because I know beautiful stories and a lot of stories where people get married off of meeting each other on a dating app. But
Yeah, sure. We're gonna do the classic thing, right? Focus on the minority and use that as a case for why it's good when in reality there's probably a much better world without it. But hey, whatever.
but you're basically swiping left or swiping right, depending on how much you find that person physically attractive, and vice versa, right? So that's interesting to me. But people are really out here full on dating. I mean, they're on their 10th date, they're traveling together, they're having they're making plans for the future, and then they get the ick about something and they're like, thank you, bye, ghosted, we're done here. Like, we literally took Ariana Grande's song Thank You Next, literally. I don't like the way that you smile, thank you, next. I don't like the way that you
Well, so this is, for being honest, this is more of a girl issue than a guy issue, obviously. But why would you stick around when there's the perception of endless optionality, right? Because that's what this does. Like the dating app, especially for attractive women, right? I mean, yeah, there's a few attractive guys that can do pretty well on dating apps, sure, whatever. But in general, women just have the perception of endless options. And this can make you feel very, very abundant. And now you're going to be very nitpicky. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't do like a good job when it comes to lining up with women's psychology in reality, right? But what it makes you feel, the perception is the optionality. And that perception of optionality makes you feel extremely abundant. And now you're going to have higher standards than you would have normally. I'm not saying it's the only contributing factor, by the way, but it's one of many that's contributing to this inflated, I guess we'll call it self perception, right? Or self value in women.
to next. I don't like the way that you walk in little slippers, thank you, next. Like, it's crazy because there's a million options, right? So no one is
Yeah.
finding stability in dating. They're like, oh wow, if we disagree on something and you're giving me the ick on this, why would I stay when I have a million other choices?
It's true. Also, I mean, these icks pretty much always existed. I do think guys today are more icky than they used to be, by their metrics anyway. But these icks always existed. It's just that you didn't have this luxury of endless abundance to go and try again, to try to squeak away with a couple less icks, right? That's the main thing.
A million other swipe right, swipe lefts that I can have and do. My peers, my friends are going through so much hardship in dating. And it is a not just a one person issue. It's,
No.
communication goes both ways and dating goes both ways. But like, you don't think the people that are truly in happy like marriages didn't fight, or that they don't have icks about one another? Like, I look at my relationship of 2.5 years with my partner and I think about the amount of good arguments we had to have this beautiful foundation, right? Like, there was one point where I was like, wow, we really can't see eye to eye. Like, you don't believe what I believe, and this is clashing. So, how do we figure out a way to meet in the middle?
There's no meeting in the middle. Okay. It's all about, as I talked to you guys plenty of times before, there's no exact compromise. Okay. There's a perception of compromise, but all of it's feelings based. So as long as they feel there's a compromise, that's all that matters, truthfully. Now, this is why I always get into the dominance side of things. If you're a dominant guy, right, you don't really have the need to necessarily compromise. Even if you disagree viciously, they're still going to like you. Okay. This is if the disagreement is, I guess we'll say, performed in the correct way. If you act a certain way about it, it can be a bad thing. But in general, if you hold your stance pretty firm and you're very clear on what you believe and what you want, even if they disagree, what you'll notice a lot of times the girls will say one thing and they'll do the opposite anyways. So as long as they're acting in a way that makes sense, I wouldn't care that much if they say the opposite to try to maintain some sort of ego or ego investment to the ideas that they've held for so long. Like a typical one that I experience all the time is when girls try to act like they're dominant, right? The funny thing is, when they meet the right guy, they won't act dominant around him at all, but they'll still have the need to say, oh, yeah, well, I can be dominant or I am dominant. But once again, who cares? If they say they're dominant, but they act non dominant around you, whatever. Let them live in their little fantasy if that's what's important to them, right? To feel a certain way. As long as it doesn't trickle into your life, you're fine.
And there's just no more middle in dating in our generation anymore. There's no more finding the middle. And so I don't know, this
Well, there can't be, right? By default, as a girl, right? You're not you're not going to find a guy that meets in the middle as attractive. Okay, it's not. If you're looking for the ultimate dominance characteristics, it's going to be my way or the highway as a guy, right? So this whole idea of compromise too, I mean, look, there's always going to be, as soon as you enter into any marriage, automatically there has to be some compromise, right? It's just natural. Now, in that particular arrangement, right, there's a give and take on both sides from a traditional standpoint. From a modern standpoint, typically it's guy gives, girl doesn't, right? So this is where we get into these issues, which is why I'm saying as a guy, you really should be very, very careful before you allow the idea of compromise to enter in. Realistically speaking, yes, you're going to make some compromise. Just be careful on how you label this because you don't want to make it seem like you're giving in. Be very careful with this, okay? So, yes, you could make concessions, ideally speaking. I don't really think you should in general, but if you do, just make sure you're careful with how you frame this concession, okay? Because you don't you don't want to let a girl feel like she can have too much of a say in your life. It could really start to mess up the dynamic. So, I'm always very careful with this compromise thing. Usually what a lot of girls when they say compromise what they really mean is I get my way. So,
was, I just needed to rant a little bit because it's a little scary. Like, we wonder why divorce rates are super high. We wonder why the marriage rate is super low. We wonder why people aren't getting married or having children. And it's like,
it's because women aren't tolerating anything anymore because they don't have to. It's that simple. Okay. Girls don't have to worry about men providing their survival needs for them. So, because of that, it's over. You guys only date for love now or for ultimate attraction, or, I guess they're technically both the same in the perspective of the woman. So, yeah, I mean, the dating landscape sucks because you guys just don't tolerate anything below perfect. Honestly, I mean, the standards of so many women are pretty insane. And even when they have a guy that's quality, like I've seen girls with actual quality guys, nothing wrong with them, definitely above average. And you can still see that the way they talk about them is sort of this weird, like I'm gonna say kind of demeaning. Like they don't even understand it. They don't even understand what they're doing, but they're passively emasculating the guy without even realizing it, right? And I don't know. It's just a weird thing to witness. But once you've seen the best or experienced the best or a certain caliber, it's very hard to go down again. I think that's part of the problem. It's very easy to access the top caliber, very hard to maintain or keep the top caliber in reference to men from the position of women. So it is what it is.